So I've got the two PCBs out of my two Siemens FDD 100 8-inch floppy drives. And this were the ones in a previous video where we replaced some of the tantalum caps that had failed with electrolytics. I got up on DigiKey to order replacement tantalums, and the axial lead tantalums at these kind of voltages were dollars per capacitor. And I thought about it and went, I'm just going to go ahead and swap electrolytics. I've looked at the schematics. These are just all bulk decoupling caps. So we've got these two here. There's three down here, and there was one up here. But they're all bulk decoupling, and I think electrolytics will be just absolutely fine in this. As I always do, I've drawn up a little picture here of where the caps are, the ratings, and where the positive leads were. And then in the manual, there was an equivalent picture as well. So, capacitor here with plus there, capacitor with plus there. I actually haven't verified this after I drew it plus there. Plus is up the sides of all of those. So I really think I'm just going to pull capacitors off. I'm not going to clip them out. Since these remaining ones on here, it's been working fine with them in place. I'm debating whether they're really worth replacing or not, but I've just said screw it. I'm not going to have another tantalum fail, I think, and take the system down. So with all that said, let's see if we can get these to desolder. Of course, there's a twist in the cord. Hopefully that's been on long enough to have heated up well. Let's just see if we can get these out. That's painful. Yeah, this is going to take a little bit of finagling here. Let's see if we can get him to walk up out of there. There we go. I don't want to melt the nylon connector down here. Just going to make this kind of interesting to do, but he did come loose. Let's see if we can clean this hole up any. Really just making it worse. May end up bringing the heat up a little bit. Cleared off one side, but not the other, of course. And got it, and of course knocked some of the silkscreen off, but kind of knew that was going to happen while that was warm. Let's see if I can get these guys to come out. So these are the couple of the electrolytics that we added. Is right there. I think I'm going to need to probably heat these and pull the leads. There's a lot of ground plane that these are tacked into. I think that one's going to have to get pulled from on top. Maybe be taking a bigger risk here with damaging the board than leaving the caps in. Okay, that got that lead loose. Let's see if I can release this one from the top as well. rod. That lifted the pad off the top, although it's, well, the hole is open, so I should be able to replace the cap. Let's see if we can get this hole here to open. Bring the heat back down a bit. Okay, I should be able to get those in just fine. I'm going to keep these tantalums I pull out just in case I end up fighting the battle to put them back in. Wonderful. Oh, sorry for the sniffly nose. Let's see if we can get those. Oh, got something in the tip. I had a little piece of something caught up in the tip, so let's see if we can get this to clean up. That one's going to be a little bit tougher, I think. It's coming through to right here. So we'll start with those. I should have some 22 microfarad. These are much smaller, and these are rated at 35 volts, the same as these were. Let's see about bending the leads to a similar width. Boy, none of the tools. Of course, I'm always complaining about it. Where are all my lead forming jigs? See if we can get one here that's about the right spacing. Looks like 0.95 is going to be really close. One that I can actually get that down in there. Sorry for all the reach and sticking my bald head in the camera shot. Certainly not perfect because the component doesn't actually drop down in well. Well, not very happy with that at all. I guess we're going to eyeball it. I eyeballed that pretty well. So I'm going to bend the others Similarly, I'm going to need 4 of these per board. There's 2. Let's go ahead and pre-bend them here. Just basically eyeballing up via the width of the needle nose. They're pretty consistent. Certainly be consistent enough. That should get it pretty close for all the 22s. So we've got a 22 here. See if we can get a lead down through that hole or not. No. Gonna have to try to open it up a bit more. So let's see, negative this direction. He's going to sit there. And negative this direction. Positive, 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 positive. Like I say in the schematic, these are all bulk decoupling caps, so one lead here I'm going to want to hit from the top, come back around and hit that one. The majority of its connections actually up here on the top of the board into that ground plane, so we're going to go ahead and solder him from the top as well. That's all the 22s. We've got a 6.8 to put in. I'm substituting 10 microfarad for the 6.8s, which I think should be absolutely fine. There's 2 per board. Of course, I don't want to mix these. They're slightly smaller. These are a 10 microfarad 50 volt, and what came out were 6.8 microfarad, 35 volt again, I think. I don't remember exactly. Let's get a good eyeball in here for size. I think they're all bent about the same. Where did I put the needle nose? Looks like it'll be pretty close. And it is. Back out of there. How are you over here? It's the same, so we will then the other's about the same. Ouch. Actually, this way around, yeah, I'm working a lot off camera. I apologize. So one of these is going to go right here. We'll tack that on the bottom and then come back, and majority of the soldering for him, I think, is all on the top of the board. I don't want to rely just solely on the plate through. These in with a good connection. Yeah, see, he can use a little touch up here on top. That's okay there. So pull this guy out. A little bit of solder here on the bottom. I don't think. I think this one here will unsolder on its own. This one's going to be a lot trickier. There's a lot of copper on both sides of the board. Nope. Yep. This is one of the 6.8s again. Negative to negative. I don't think I'd have even attempted this without the, I don't know what it looked like. He was open, but not quite. And I'll try it from the other side one more attempt. Looks like it's clearer. Yeah, without the soldering tool, I don't know that I would have tried this, just because the copper pores are so large. Square that shoulder up a bit. Negative to negative, that should be good. And as you can see, there's a very large copper pore here. Flow solder on this side as well, especially over here in this large pore area. That one actually doesn't look like it's bulk coupling based on where it is in the circuit, but that one certainly, okay, that one certainly is. This one I'm not so convinced. Huh. That's definitely picking up a power rail. This one, go back and look in the schematic for C19 because it feeds off to a resistor. I don't know that that's one I'm going to replace. It doesn't look like it's in there as bulk decoupling. I'm actually debating whether I need to do this one as well. I'll think about it. This board's of course got these other style on it. Again, the two that caused me failures on here have been replaced. And that was really these 6.8s that I've got the electrolytics in already. Honestly, I think I'm just going to replace these and leave the tantalums on here. We didn't have a 22 microfarad tantalum failure on this board, where we had one on the other board. So what the heck? Let's just replace these two electrolytics and call this good enough. You know, do no harm. Can I get that to release? No, I really can't. This one from the back side of the board only. It's just a single pad up on top with a plate through, and I don't want to damage the single pad on top with the plate through. That cleared right out. This might be a whole lot tougher here. Tried, but it's not great. Around to the back side. Got it. And that should be good to take one of these 6.8s. And I like the fact having the axial caps here. Axials were meant, and not the or the radial caps where the radials were meant, or no, axial. Because I had kludged in these capacitors by bending the leads all funky, and I'd much rather have capacitors that are closer to what was meant to be on the board in place. And get this soldered on the top side as well. And we want to try to pull this guy. So yeah, it was the 6.8 microfarads where all of them were failed. There's two per board, and they were failed on both boards. Nearly dead shorts, not quite. I have to bend a little bit too wide. So let's straighten this lead back out and bend it a little closer. So definitely the 4 of those had to go. And like I say, I had the 122 tantalum that I was very suspicious of. That resulted in me actually replacing the original tantalum was here. I was highly suspicious of. Actually, see that I want to add some solder there while I'm looking at that. So let's do that while it's fresh in my mind. Get some solder on the top of the board here as well, just to get a better connection there. Which prompted me to take the one next to it out too, and I probably didn't need to do that, but I did. And of course, I went ahead and bought 10 of one of these and 20 of the other. At 10, there's a pretty good discount, and they'll just get fed back into my stock. One more solder joint up here. Catch them on this side as well. Do a quick visual. Negative to negative, negative to negative. I think we'll call that board good. Negative to negative, negative to negative. Yeah, negative to negative. I think we'll, yep, these all look like they're okay. Not quite happy with how square that was. I think we're good. I'll go reinstall these. Keep my fingers crossed that they work. They were, of course, labeled for the drives they go into. This board works in both of the floppy mechanical mechanisms. This controller does. This controller doesn't work in number 1, but works in number 2, which is interesting. But yeah, I think I'm going to call that successful. Let's see, we have the cut tape here with the remaining 10s. Just go back in their little bag. Put all the 22s in here along with the additional tantalum we pulled out. These cheap Chinese guys I swapped in. So got the old tantalums here on the bench that I'm going to hold on to from previous work. These cheap Chinese electrolytics I'm just going to chuck. They've been through a couple of heat cycles now. They've been abused. I yanked on the leads, pulling them back off the board. So in my mind, those are just trash. Don't know what else I can say here. Tools are turned off. I feel better about where we are. I was going to replace, like I say, all of these, and after looking at where these are actually connected to, no, I think they're fine where they are. And call it good. So we'll wrap this up and we'll talk soon.